This episode was made possible thanks to generous supporters on Patreon. Good day, guitar fellows, and welcome to another episode of Dr. Zerner's Guitar Lab. That's the second part of the video about why your guitar playing is messy. You can watch the first part up here. And today I will be addressing the issues regarding the picking and how to improve it. So let's get started. Picking independence is an essential part from your playing, and if it's not executed well enough, it can totally ruin your performance. There are several big drawbacks when it comes to picking, and I will address them one by one. The first is a problem with alternate picking. I see that many people start playing with some weird sequences of up and down strokes, trying to mimic some sort of economy picking, but actually not achieving anything because their picking is completely random, and therefore above certain speed everything becomes a total mess. So my suggestion is really to start exercising your alternate picking and develop that to the highest possible point, because alternate picking is actually the foundation, because it's the most versatile playing and pretty much everything that you play can be covered by alternate picking, which I can't really say about economy picking or sweep picking because their scope is quite limited. And if you try to play complex things that are designed for alternate picking, like string skipping, for example, like the snippet that I played in the beginning of the video, this can't be played by economy picking, neither by sweep picking. So that's really a situation where only alternate picking can save you. So really, this is my advice. Put some effort into developing your alternate picking. Another problem that I see is synchronization between the two hands. Usually the reason for that is that one of the hands is playing faster than the other. To fix that, the best way is to train them separately. What I personally do is to start exercising just the fretting hand. For example, if I need to play the same snippet that I just mentioned, I could start training just the fretting hand with the metronome, so I can be sure that I'm fretting the notes with precise timing. When you're ready and confident with your fretting hand, you may include the picking hand, of course, again with the metronome. Another problem with synchronization is trying to push up the tempo way too fast before you're actually prepared for it. I know that nobody has patience to play their favorite riffs. I experienced that myself when I was starting to play and I wanted to play my favorite riffs and solos immediately in original tempo, and I've fallen so many times in this trap of impatience. My suggestion is to build up the tempo slowly so you can cultivate better synchronization and be prepared for the fast tempo, and then you won't go back and recover mistakes and get frustrated. And the next thing that I want to address here is that way too many people aren't practicing with a metronome. And this is a serious problem because usually people think that they have the rhythm inside them, but this is actually very delusional because once you put this to a test, you will see that your internal tempo is not so precise that you think it is. So this is why you need to train that just like you train everything else. So my suggestion is the metronome to become your best friend and to start practicing everything with a metronome constantly, no matter how advanced player you are. I personally play for more than 30 years and I still practice with metronome every day, so there's no reason for you to avoid it. Here are 2 exercises that I want to show you that will really improve your picking independence. The first exercise is just a simple 5-note sequence which starts on the 5th fret 6th string and goes like that. Then we play another 5-note sequence starting from the 2nd note of the 1st sequence. Then we play another 5-note sequence starting from the 3rd note of the 1st sequence. And finally we play another last 5-note sequence which starts on the 4th note of the 1st sequence. And here you can start it again and go all the way up to the 1st string. The reason why this exercise is so effective is that it can train your pick to change strings in all kinds of situations. Going to a higher string after a downstroke, going to a higher string after an upstroke, going to a lower string after an upstroke, and going to a lower string after a downstroke. So this is how the whole sequence looks like. Of course, it's a good idea when you reach the end on the 1st string to start playing the same exercise in a mirrored version, starting with an upstroke. The reason for starting everything with an upstroke is also a very important thing, because when you start playing some complex solos, you will see a lot of figures that might look easier, and when you start practicing them separately, you will usually start with a downstroke because most of the time this is how it goes, and when you start playing the whole section, you suddenly see that something's messing up and you don't really know why. There is one situation like this that I encountered when I was learning Perpetual Born by Jason Becker. And it was an arpeggio which ends on a downstroke. And then a scale pattern which goes like this, which I practiced starting with a downstroke, like everyone would do. And then when I need to play the both figures together, suddenly it becomes a mess here, because you need to play 2 consecutive downstrokes, and in hard tempos this just doesn't work. So this is why you actually need to start this section with an upstroke. So this is just one example of how important it is to be able to play everything in 2 different directions, starting with a downstroke and starting with an upstroke. So that's everything for today's video. If you like my work, please consider supporting me on Patreon up here. Also subscribe to my channel, click the like button, also click that small bell button so you can get informed when I upload new video. See you next time, and remember, practice makes perfect.